It's a lovely day. We're still sequestered in our little hideaway, waiting.
What date is it today?
It's Saturday, the 21st of March, 2020. I've lost track of time. I've entered a timeless space. Time is moving very in a very unusual fashion right now. The minutes seem like hours, the hours seem like days, the days just stretch on and on to an unknowable future.
She looks pretty pregnant, huh?
Julia? Yeah. No, she was the last to get bred. But she's definitely pregnant. Hi Maggie, how's it going? I don't think this girl got bred. I don't think she's just dead weight in the herd. Just an ornament like your horses. Serves no useful purpose, but they're very beautiful and you're very attached to them, so you look after them anyway.
They're profound teachers.
I've learned a lot from the horses, mostly like chill out already. But when it's time to run, go for it. Don't hesitate.
All my leadership skills are coming through the horses.
You're right. First, you have to be able to provide leadership to your animals. So after that, you can get them to do whatever you like. Hmm? See? This is social distancing, goat style. If somebody moves, and everybody has to move. And you'll see as it'll stop in a certain configuration, and then someone will start to move, and pretty soon everybody has to shift around a little. Anyway, and you have to remember that humans are herd animals. We are herd animals. That's why we love other herd animals like goats and cattle and sheep and pigs. They're all herd animals. They live in big, large clusters, big extended families, and humans are like that too. So.
I would call humans more of a pack.
A pack? Well, yeah, I mean, we bridge the gap between the herbivores and the carnivores. We do both. If dogs and humans weren't very much alike, they couldn't live together, believe me, so closely. Dogs live right in the middle of your life. They're with you. They're as close as your children. You think these girls like me or what?
You are their benevolent leader that provides for all their needs.
Yeah. These animals are very well cared for. They have space to live and to express themselves, and they're pretty. It's a pretty bunch. They look good, and they're all in good flesh. I think you have to clean your lens. So the question that came up, whether this was the end of the world or the beginning of a very different world, or is it just a blip? Weep. And things went back to normal. People said, "Oh man, that was awesome, but let's get on with it. It's something I have to buy." I'm desperate to shop, and there's millions, maybe even billions of consumers are now confined to their residences and can't get out there and shop.
Shelter in place is not very hard when you're a farmer, huh?
Not really.
It's like business as usual.
I mean, the funny thing, I really hardly noticed. It's hardly affected my lifestyle over the last few months, which has been hunker down for the winter. So we're just continuing that, except now that it's spring, we can spend more time outside, which is nice, and things are melting, and so that's nice. And I don't mind being forced to stay here to enjoy this. You know, it's not a tremendous hardship to hang out with the goats and roast your feet in front of the fire. And you get your teenage children to come and help you move firewood. My feeling it's a game changer. It's that what's going to come out of it is something that people have been dreaming about for a long time but have never been able to achieve, which is just the recognition that it's one planet, one one species. You know, it's really just a bunch of brothers and sisters, that's all, that are inhabiting this amazing universe. So, you know, why not just get along? It's easier, actually, than the alternative, which is just the endless conflict which eats up the resources you need in order to transform your world into the paradise that you claim you want for yourself. Well, you can only have it for yourself if your neighbor gets it too, you know. That's how it works. That's the economy that the universe uses. I don't mean to alarm anyone who might hear this, but I have an image of the global economy speeding off a cliff. And there it is. And now we are launched into the unknown, and we are rapidly descending towards a place we're not familiar with because we've never been there before. A global civilization, as it has been up till quite recently, was headed for a high-speed collision with their own stupidity, which was causing them to create a world that would lead ultimately to their extinction if they continued their current behavior. There obviously has to be a really profound shift in some fundamental level in the collective consciousness of all the sentient beings that are on the planet sharing this experience. It's finally all connected in a way that is, you know, makes sense. Anyway, these are the times of which the great prophet Bob Dylan spoke of. And he said, the times they are a-changin'. Come senators, congressmen throughout the land, don't criticize what you can't understand. For your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. The times they are changing. Very Kofifi.
Bob Dylan was Kofifi before Kofifi was Kofifi.
Yeah, absolutely. So people are now having to choose between the possible futures that are all in play simultaneously, of course, which always makes it so interesting. And depending on how they choose, so will their world evolve. It's really that simple. Everybody gets a vote, you know. This is a real democracy. You know, the world is democratic. Sorry, guys. Everybody gets a vote. You know? Oh, the belly. Fibs. She's going to have pretty kids. I can tell you that right away. we made our choice a long time ago. We decided we'd go with the future. The future's where it's at, man. And I know exactly the kind of future I want. So, and here it is, you know. It's all gradually coming into focus. Yeah, it's a new world. Wow. Even if it takes 1,000 years to finally show up.
She's pooing on you.
Hey, fuck off. That's rude.
You know, but that's with your every
Wait.
flippin' citizen poops on their
Yeah.
leaders. That's
You're right.
they shit on their leaders.
You're right. That's the current state of affairs, you know. In a time of crisis, people do figure it out eventually, or they die. China's going to play a huge role in how the new world order, which is slowly coming into focus, will function. Because that's just a lot of people. It's a lot of consumers. And the consumers are what's created the modern economy that we've been going through in the last 40 years. It's all based on consumption. Of course, a lot of that consumption was unsustainable, but, you know, so what? You know? So what if at some point you run out? Oops. Canada, unfortunately, is playing catch up because Canada bought into what was considered the future 2 generations ago, back in the 1970s. Alternative futures were projected, and the Canadians decided, for whatever reasons, to bet on the nuclear fossil fuel future that they saw as being prosperous. And there was an alternative presented, but it was rejected. So, you know, so now we're 40 years later, or is it 50 years? It's a while, and instead of having a society powered by renewable energy and being a global leader in sustainability, Canada has chained itself to fossil fuels as the way to prosperity, and that is the very thing which is going to destroy the quality of Canadian life. Sorry, guys. You can't have it both ways. I think that Canada has been sucked into the kind of American U.S. consciousness to a great extent, that Canadians bought into the American version of what success means, which is epitomed by their selection of a president. You know, that's an example of what is considered a successful human being in the United States. This whole idea of you grow the economic pie, don't worry about how much a few well-connected people over here take and leave. What little bit they leave for everybody else is what it should be enough anyway, right? But you keep growing that pie and everybody wins.
Miss American Pie.
Well, I
Shall we go to the levee?
shall we go to the levee and see how the levee is doing?